Sup everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Frigg and how she's currently fitting into the meta, what's her best available chipset along with her PvE and maybe even some of her PvP preferred playstyles, best combo sequences, best rotations, best teams, and just generally what's going to be the most optimal way to try to ooze as much damage out of this amazing character. So before we start, I want to let you guys know that I stream every Wednesdays and Saturdays right here on YouTube for both Genshin Impact and Tower of Fantasy. If you guys want to see more content of either or, please let me know down in the comments or at those live streams. And with that said, let's begin the video. So when it comes to Frigg and her current position in the meta, I want to say that she fits in quite well, although she's not going to be meta defining or breaking currently. And I say currently because I believe Frigg is not at her full potential. If you guys know anything about the CN side of things, you will know that actually Frigg is only the first piece of the puzzle to a 3-piece plan, and that being Frigg, Sakifua, and Lin. Now currently you only have Frigg, so is it really fair to compare Frigg right now to all the other available teams and carries that are more, so to say, completed? In today's demonstration, we will be comparing Frigg directly to my currently best available team, which is Samir, Nemesis, and King, so you guys can see when it comes to damage wise how close she is to what's currently the best available team. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves and first talk about her build and chipset. Here's where things actually looks to be pretty decent for most people, as Frigg is more, so to say, a flexible character. She is an on-field damage dealer, meaning a lot of sets here can work for her depending on what stage of the game you are at. So for me currently, I have the 2-piece Samir set as well as the 2-piece Pro set, which is going to be pretty good for running on Frigg here. However, if you are unable to obtain SSR chips, there are going to be other options. When it comes to the SR chips, you can easily run Sobek. If you guys have been finding yourself lucky with world bosses and whatnot, Sobek is a good set to run. But when it comes to SR sets, remember you have to run the 3-piece set here to activate the effect, and the effect goes as following: increasing the damage dealt by 6%, 7.5%, 9% for each enemy nearby up to 3 stacks. Now just understand, if you're doing Bygone or just doing any sort of grouped PvE content with many mobs around, you can get up to 18% additional just damage. It's not just attack scaling, it's raw damage. The Sobek set is, I would say, one of, if not the best SR sets available, and in time you will be able to get this up to that 9% per enemy, which is 27% increased damage. Yes, you heard that right, 27% increased damage. So it'd be a good idea to keep a good Sobek set around, and in this case for Frigg, it's going to be very good if you can run this set on her if you don't have the SSR set available. Following that, if you really are new to the game and you somehow landed yourself a Frigg temporarily, I would say running this set is also fine. The functional dash set running the 3-piece is going to yield you that 6% frost weapon damage bonus, so just go with that, okay? But ultimately, what is her best in slot chipset? Well, that's going to be 2-piece Huma and 2-piece Frigg, or if you don't have 2-piece Frigg and you don't want to pull for 2-piece Frigg, you can do 2-piece Samir. But if you don't have 2-piece Samir and somehow you have 2-piece Crow, you can do that as well. So in a sense, you can mix match, but ideally you want 2-piece Frigg and 2-piece Huma, with Huma being more important in my opinion than Frigg. And the reason being is that hitting targets with dodge skill inflicts bleed, dealing damage equal to 15% of attack every second for 5 seconds. So basically that is dealing an additional 75% of your attack to enemies every time you use the dodge skill. And if you guys know Frigg, she pretty much only exclusively uses her dodge skill to deal damage. So when it comes to the Huma set, that is a huge, and I mean huge, damage bonus. If you're somehow able to land yourself a 2-piece Huma set, I would say congratulations, this is going to be be very, very good for you. So finally, when it comes to chipset, if you guys have questions where like, oh, but I have the 2-piece Samir set or 2-piece Crow set, but then I don't have another 2-piece SSR set. Do I just use 2 random SSRs if I have it to stat boost, or do I use 2 SRs to stat boost? Here is the answer to that, okay? In my experience, if you only have, let's say, 2-piece Samir set, but then the other 2-piece is a random SR, but at the same time, you have a fully functioning 3-piece Sobek set, I would say personally go with the 3-piece Sobek set. However, if you have 2-piece Samir and you have 2 extra SSR pieces lying around, the stat boost may be good enough for you to justify running the 2-piece SSR. So for example, if you have, in this example, let's switch this. I say, oh, I don't have Crow. Let's say I have Samir, right? But I don't have the Crow set. Oh no, what should I run here? If you happen to just have some random SSR chips lying around, let's just go with that. This, I think, would be better than running the 3 Sobek set in comparison, if the Sobek set is all 0 stars, of course. However, if you only have SR pieces to slot into these 2 extra slots, then instead of running the 2 Samir, here I would just instead run the 3 Sobek and then throw maybe an SSR on the last piece. Again, this is all flexible and it depends on what you have for your account. That's why these guides and stuff, it's very difficult to make them one guide fits all, but hopefully you guys catch my drift here, okay? You really just want to find a good balance between set boost as well as stat boost. So with all that said, let's move on from the chipset into team options. So unfortunately, due to my current situation, I do not have Tsubasa. However, if you do have Tsubasa, you can replace Meryl with Tsubasa and just use Frigg as both shatter and field damage. In my humble opinion, I do think that's going to be the better variation of this, because if you look at here, let's take a look at my weapon resonance. Right now I have balance. I have one of each. Meryl is defense, Frigg is attack, and Nemesis is the healer, or what is this, benediction. However, if I am able to get Tsubasa here, instead of balance, I would have attack. And now, of course, you can keep Meryl in the team and switch out Nemesis as well. But in my case, right, my Nemesis is very well built and it also heals me a great deal while dealing tons of field damage. It's just a better option, and depending on my Tsubasa stars, I can also, you know, buff up the team with more damage, and that's universal. So that's how I would play it. But if you guys don't have Nemesis, you can easily play Meryl, Frigg, and Tsubasa. That's also a viable team, don't get me wrong here. Tsubasa is extremely good to pair with Frigg, and in many scenarios, once Sakifua comes out, you pretty much just run Saki, Frigg, and Tsubasa. That's going to be your team until Lin comes out, and Lin will come in and replace Tsubasa. If you guys followed my content regarding the SSR selection box, I told you guys about this. If you are building for the future, Tsubasa is likely the best possible option you can pick from that SSR box. However, for me, due to being unlucky, I was only able to get 1 king and a whole slew of other support characters and tank characters after summoning for like 800 or 1,000 pulls. So I had to use my SSR selection box for Samir, but in time, everything should stack up for you and teams should start rounding out. Okay, so once again, to iterate for teams, Meryl, Frigg, Tsubasa is going to be great right now. Nemesis, Frigg, Tsubasa is also going to work extremely well right now. If you are free to play and you're like, oh, I don't have any of those fancy ass units, what should I be playing? Well, in the worst case scenario, I would say you can run Pummeler just to get the frost resonance going for your Frigg. Or if you have Coco, you can run Coco as well with Frigg for the resonance, and then just slap on any other offensive weapon. If you have King, you can run King. Or if you think you need more shadow, right, you can run Coco, Frigg, Shiro. These are more scuffed teams, but they are definitely doable, as Frigg thankfully is capable of dealing decent shatter to enemies. Now don't get me wrong, she's not going to be like amazing at it, but she can get the job done. Okay, that's going to be my free to play recommendation. If you guys are like, what about the 3 stars, what about the 3 stars, I really don't suggest you guys dig that deep, because you're still going to have to level them up, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody recommend leveling up 3-star weapons to run as a free to play. No matter how free to play you are, you should be having access to some of these at least SR weapons, and even then I'd be hard pressed to tell you guys to level these all the way up to, I guess, 110 for when this video is coming out. It's just not recommended, okay? I'd rather have you guys wait and play a non-synergistic team. Let's say if you have like a Crow or you have any other SSR like a Huma, just run that instead until you get a proper SSR unit to build, because resources are extremely expensive and hard to come by, especially for low spenders and free-to-plays, that I don't want to see you guys dumping that much into an SR weapon just to have it replaced in like a week or two down the line. All right, with that said, when it comes to Frigg's playstyle, it is quite simple and straightforward. You don't have to really think about too much, but what's more important than her playstyle is her rotation, because if you guys see, if I press my skill here, she drops this frost domain. You see this thing? And now when I dash and attack, it doesn't consume any of my dash charges, as you guys can see on the right there. And this is basically her entire kit right here. This is the bread and butter of playing Frigg. You will be doing this for 90% of your gameplay. Some may find it boring, but honestly, I find it quite soothing. Let's do it down here, maybe on some mob here. I hope they can actually tank this. Of course they cannot. The range is quite large here, but at the same time, the downtime is extremely low. It's about a 5-second downtime, meaning that you have enough time to switch to your other characters and get things done before coming back to Frigg. So in essence, she is a character that does hog a lot of field time. Of course, you can switch to other characters midway during that skill. It doesn't cancel the skill. So once again, let's demonstrate that. Drop the skill, let's dash like 1, twice, 3 times. Let's switch to Nemesis, drop her totem. Let's switch to Meryl and do a little spin, spin, spin. And these guys can see the field is still on. Go back to Frigg and continue dashing. So a good indicator of when this skill is about to end is looking at the skill cooldown. Once this reaches around 5 seconds, this field dome would disappear. As you guys can see, 5, and then it's gone. That means the skill will be on field for 25 seconds with a 5-second downtime, essentially making this skill incredibly high in efficiency and usage. Although I do want to let you guys know that in an ideal situation, when you use this ability, hopefully you are staying on field until you proc either Fantasia or you absolutely have to switch out. So for example, let's say your Nemesis totem is out, you can easily switch to Nemesis, drop your totem, and then maybe drop a slow orb, then switch back to Frigg and continue doing your damage. Basically what I'm saying is, it's not like you cannot switch off of her, it's just ideal if you can keep yourself dealing damage for that 25-second window, as it's going to be quite valuable. Depending on which character you're running with it, you may also need to switch out to Tsubasa to give her buffs and stuff, so you shouldn't really be stubborn with her skill uptime duration and staying in attack stance, as sometimes when enemies do end up shielding and your Meryl discharge skill is up, it's definitely fine to switch into Meryl and use her skill and ability. However, if you know the enemies are about to shield in the next few seconds, maybe it's best to wait until the enemy's shield, then use Meryl's discharge, then switch back to Frigg, and then using her on-field ability. A lot of this really comes down to your game knowledge and understanding of the current fight you are partaking. Overall, I would say Frigg is a very good character, although currently, as I mentioned, due to her lacking the most optimal team and teammates, she falls just a little bit short of Samir. And when comparing her to Samir, some of you guys would say, well, that's not good because she's a limited character and Samir is a standard banner character. However, in my opinion, I would say it's not the worst of ideas to have limited banner characters be somewhat in line with standard banner characters, considering the limited characters currently doesn't have their full roster set available. Limited character banners should be better than standard characters, at least when played fully optimally and fully built. So in due time, hopefully I can get my hands on Tsubasa as well as Sakifua to then once again show you guys exactly how much better Frigg can get when played in her best team. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about Frigg's 1-star constellation, or advancements if you guys call it that as well. This is a pretty sizable boost in damage, and in my opinion, if you are serious about playing a frost comp and down the line want to gear yourself towards this direction, you are pulling for Sakifua as well, and you have a Tsubasa, or you are just dead set on playing Frigg, definitely picking up this 1-star constellation or advancement is going to be insanely valuable in the long run, considering how much damage that it actually boosts for your Frigg. Finally, if you guys are PvP players, she's not a bad option to play right now, especially since everybody gets to be a 6-star in PvP. She actually is a great counter to the Crow meta. For people who are climbing this season again, I'd say she's a viable choice to run in teams right now, as if you are able to catch the enemy, especially through cocoa fishing or with marrow baiting, Frigg actually can deal massive amounts of damage and a one-hit combo is available. Although I still have more testing to do when it comes to Frigg in PvP, just know that she is not half bad when it comes to it. In fact, she may even be the meta as long as Crow remains to be the meta. But the beauty is, if you are only caring about PvP, pulling a single copy of her is going to be good enough. Okay, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been quite a long video. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Tower of Fantasy content. And until next time, urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye.